welcome. We're happy to be here with you for another AcquaTalks online. We took a 2-month summer break and are thrilled to be back with a stellar lineup of great topics featuring distinguished speakers from around the globe that we'll bring to you monthly with our online educational series. As summer draws to a close and the children are back to school, we hope you had an opportunity to travel and spend quality time with your family and friends, creating beautiful experiences and special memories together. My name is Alexandra Wensley, and I'm your host for AcquaTalks Online by the Estates at Aquilina, the world's finest residences, providing an extraordinary living experience based on trust and value. Today on AcquaTalks, we have business and life coach Andrea Liebross, who will talk to us about how to put a price on what you're really worth. She'll help us move from impossible to possible. After graduating from the distinguished Dartmouth College and marrying the guy that lived down the hall, I love that, Andrea Liebross and her husband packed up their 1980s red Cadillac, left the Northeast, and eventually made their way to the Midwest city known for the Indianapolis 500. Over the last several decades, Andrea has started 3 successful businesses and ultimately became a certified business and life coach, all while raising 2 wonderful children, now ages 20 and 17, and several dogs. Her goal is to help bold, ambitious women create their own secret sauce for success by combining 2 ingredients: the right mindset and solid systems. Joining us from the state of Indiana, please help me welcome Andrea Liebross. Hello, Andrea.
Hey, how are you? Thanks, Alex.
You're welcome. So happy you're here with us. And I love your whiteboard.
Yep. You don't need to have anything fancy in order to be worth it.
Yes, I love that. Well, so happy to have you with us today. I'm going to let you take this over in a moment, but I just want to let everyone, if this is your first time to AcquaTalks, please note we're recording this and we will post it after on the Estates at Aquilina Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, all of our social channels, so you'll get to rewatch it as well. And then please, I'm going to leave and Andrea's going to take this over, but at the end, we're going to have a fun and lively Q&A. So stay through to the end. And then also please put any of your questions, comments in the chat. And I see someone already did the Q&A. Great first timers. Okay, Jane Simmer, welcome. Happy to have you with us. So yes, please put any questions and we'll address them at the end. So Andrea, take it away.
Thanks so much. So I am very happy to be here. As Alex said, I am a business and life coach. I deal primarily with women. I have a lot of clients who are actually in real estate, but also in many other types of businesses. So today we're talking about something that often comes up: people feeling worthy and people also feeling like they are worth the price they are charging. So in real estate, if you're in that industry and you're getting paid on commission, that's kind of your price, right? And it varies depending on the sale, but that's your price. If you're in another industry, even if you're getting a salary, that's your price. And we can come up with a lot of what I like to call head trash around our worth. We can talk ourselves in and out of it. So today I prepared a handout to go with this talk. You can feel free to download it. I'm going to put the address of the web address right in the chat box. I think our assistant Nate might be doing that too, but here it comes for you. Oh, here we go. There you go. So you can head over there if you want to print something out to kind of follow along, or you can print it out later. You're going to be just fine without it if you don't want to go right now. So I'm using a white, just a big pad of paper today. Oftentimes I do PowerPoints, but what I want to try to impress on you is that you don't need to have all of the fancy bells and whistles to feel or to be worth it or valuable. right? So I think I can get my points across to you just using this big pad of paper. I don't really need a big PowerPoint today. So that's why I decided to do it. Okay, so here we go. What are you worth and how do we put a price tag on that? I wanted to start just by sharing with you and bringing you back to Webster's dictionary and reminding you that there's a difference between being worthy and your worth. Okay, so worthy is really a person or a thing deserving of something. Okay, he is worthy of recognition, or I am worthy of presenting to you today. Okay, whereas worth is the value, and it's often financial, of the thing. Okay, so the house is worth $4 million, or in the case of the estates at Aquilina, between $5 and I think $59 million. Okay, so there's a difference, and we sometimes use these words interchangeably in our head, but wanted to point out to you today that the worthiness is really, are you deserving of the recognition, whereas the worth of something is the value of it. Okay, so that's just my background Webster's dictionary talk. But when it comes down to pricing, when we talk about pricing, what that really is all about is comes down to beliefs. Okay, the price, the commission, the salary, what you're charged for your services, it's just a number. It's just a number, and you have full control, okay, in some cases, over that number. Okay, so the framework I'm going to share today can be used for just about any business. It can also be used about thinking and negotiating. It can be used to think about bringing someone new onto your team or explaining to a client how real estate agents earn income. But most importantly, I want you to think about this worth topic as it relates to you. Okay, there's lots of ways to use this thinking. So when we talk price, okay, it's a number that you've got full control over, and it's really just made up of 3 beliefs. It's 3 beliefs, okay? Your price is a compilation of these 3 beliefs. So number 1, okay, is the belief you have in yourself as a provider of this service, the maturity of your service. Sometimes I like to say this isn't my first rodeo. Okay, so this isn't my first time presenting this material or talking or doing a webinar. Okay, so I have belief in myself that I can come across to you today as presenting something that is valuable. I've got the skills behind it. So belief in myself. Number 2, it's belief in the maturity, kind of the emotional maturity or the financial maturity of your client or customer. Okay, we have to believe that they're going to get it. They're going to get why they're actually paying you. This is not something that you have to stress about or really honestly even explain to them in depth over and over and over again. So number 2 is the belief you have in your client. The third thing is the belief you have in your offer or in the service you're providing. Is there value in that? Okay. So in terms of coaching, I believe that there is value in the coaching that I am providing. I feel like people are gaining something from consuming that. If you're in real estate, your clients, there is value in the service that you are providing them in guiding them through the buying or selling of their next property. So a belief is composed of multiple things. Okay, so the worth is composed of 3 beliefs, and now the belief is really composed of multiple thoughts. Okay, beliefs are really thoughts, or thoughts are really beliefs. They can go back and forth. And for anyone that's worked with me for any number of weeks, months, or years, or if you've listened to any of my podcasts, you probably know that I am a big believer that thoughts are what trigger our feelings. Okay, so these thoughts show up as how you feel about your worth or price. So when we have drama, okay, over our worth or our price, or we have drama over how to tell a customer or client about the commission, for example, the drama is really created because there is a conflict between your three beliefs about the maturity of you as the provider, the maturity of your client's emotional and financial needs or development rather, and the value of your offer, okay? Those thoughts around those three beliefs are conflicting if you have what I like to call pricing drama or worthiness drama, okay? The more dissonance you have, the more drama you have. So to eliminate the drama, we need to examine really what thoughts you're having, okay? So when I start to question my price, I'm really starting to question my clients or what I offer. And again, this creates what's called cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is really about you having conflicting beliefs. Okay, so cognitive dissonance is having two conflicting beliefs. And it's usually used to describe kind of the discomfort that results from holding these two conflicting beliefs or values or attitudes. And people tend to seek consistency in their attitudes and perceptions. So this conflict causes feelings of unease and discomfort. Okay, this inconsistency between what people believe and how they behave motivates people to engage in all sorts of actions that help minimize the feelings of discomfort. So when we start to find ourselves explaining something away, okay, have you ever felt like that? You're explaining something away, you start to feel uneasy. You may even start to feel a little guilty. And then we start to relieve this tension that we have in so many different ways. We start to reject or explain away, or we avoid new info. Okay, so everyone experiences cognitive dissonance to some degree, but that doesn't mean that it's always easy to recognize. So I want you to notice, do you sometimes feel uncomfortable before talking about pricing or numbers? Or do you feel like you're always trying to justify or rationalize your decision? Are you feeling embarrassed or ashamed about something that you've done, or you're trying to hide your actions? So think about that concept of cognitive dissonance as how it relates to what you are worth. Okay? So again, the drama comes from having too many thoughts that what I'm selling or the service I'm offering is not necessarily an undercharge, it's an overcharge. Okay, that gives us the drama. Okay, the thought that what we value in service or the service I give, okay, is costing someone too much is creating all the drama. If we think the client isn't mature enough to understand what we're offering, again, drama. Okay, so how do we clean up these thoughts? How do we clean them up? Well, the first way to clean up the drama is to, what I like to say, get out of your client's wallet. Get out of your client's wallet. We don't need to know what's in their wallet necessarily. I know if we're going through real estate, we do have to kind of know that. But for this purpose, for our discussion today, I want you to say to get out of your client's wallet, meaning we don't need to worry about all of their expenses and all the other things they may have to be paying for. Okay, so stop asking yourself, do we think they can afford this? Get out of their wallet. Okay. Because what you're really doing is projecting your own insecurities onto your clients. And that, my friends, is kind of selfish. Okay. Because price is really about the lifetime value that you are delivering to your clients. So in my case, I think about this. I am delivering them lifetime value, giving them, enhancing their lives. I am not just enhancing their lives in the 6 months or a year or 2 or 3 years that I'm working with them. You're not enhancing their lives in just the transaction. Okay. You are giving them lifetime value. There's a lifetime value in working with me. There's a lifetime value in you helping them buy the house of their dreams or the property that they've been thinking about for years. So if you start to have drama about your commission or what you're asking for in terms of, say, a salary increase, even, what's happening here is you're getting in your own way. Okay. I want right now to take you to a place where you can see the lifetime value that you're offering, where you can actually see and stop thinking about yourself, stop thinking about your clients' bills, about their families, about the vacations they might be saving for, about a broken water heater, about all of the other things going on in their life. I want you to start thinking about the value that you're delivering over the course of a lifetime, not just within that transaction or within, if you're offering, say, a service provider, within that time frame you're working with someone. Yes, Natasha says lifetime value. Totally. It is an amazing, great concept. And when you start to realize that your service is really an undercharge for an over delivery, it starts to feel really good. Think about that. What you're putting out there in the world is an undercharge and an over deliver. Okay. That takes the focus off of you and puts the focus on the value you're giving. So part of the key of determining what you're worth, so to speak, is taking the focus off yourself and putting it on the value that you are giving. Okay. So in order to counter all of those thoughts that are creating the drama and the cognitive dissonance, you have to start to be curious. Okay. Curiosity is what's going to counter those thoughts. All right. So start thinking about your worth or the value you're providing as really as in providing a transformation. Start looking at your commission or your fees as a transformation. I think this is so brilliant. Okay, this is brilliant. Start looking at your commission like a portal or an invitation for your client to change, to transform. In my mind, if I could close my eyes, I picture this as you opening a big, huge, wide door that you are inviting your clients to walk through. And this big, huge, wide door, you're opening it for them. That's what your commission or price is all about. You are giving them an invitation to change. Okay. I'm inviting them to change how they're thinking about themselves or their business. If you're in real estate, you're inviting them to think about changing where they live or how they live. And if you don't open that door wide enough, then that transformation is not available to them. Okay. So in my case, if I don't charge what I think I'm worth, then I am not giving my clients access to something better for themselves or to that transformation, okay, or to my energy and confidence and abundant thinking. So really what I'm doing, if I am not charging what I'm worth or confident in what I'm worth, is I am taking away some of the power of my clients, because I don't believe in my price. All right. So what I'm really saying is that I don't believe in my clients, or I don't believe in the value that I'm giving them. If you don't think they can afford your price or the price of a property, then you are taking power away from them as well. Okay. And I'm not, if I take this away, then I'm not holding my client's vision of themselves as transforming, or vision of themselves in this new property. I'm not holding that space for them as amazing. So there's a value in the transformation, a lifetime value. And I am shrinking the invitation if I shrink my price, or if I try to explain myself away. Okay. So remember, again, this is not about me. It's not about me or you as the service provider. It is about them, right? I can help them transform. And if I shrink that price, then I'm not letting them decide for themselves how big a transformation they want to occur. You're actually letting them shrink. And if you don't open that door, and literally for you, if you are in real estate, if you don't open that door for them in full confidence, then you're saying that you don't have full confidence in them. You're not letting them have the feelings and thoughts that support their vision. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? Okay, and here's one more thing to think about when you're considering what your price or commission should be, or when you start to undercharge and over deliver as you negotiate with other brokers. I want you to think about three things. I want you to think about the following, okay? What are you saving your clients? You are saving them time. Think about how much time that they're saving in working with you. You are collapsing a timeline for them. For me, when I'm in a coaching relationship, for example, I'm saving them time from trying to do all of this alone and not getting the result they want. Okay, from trying to grow themselves personally and professionally and doing it alone. Okay, number two, I want you to think about money. You're actually helping them save money while they are spending money, but you are helping them save money, not just now, but for a lifetime. If they find the property of their dreams, they may never have to move again. And they're going to go searching for answers. If they don't work with you, they're going to start scouring the internet. They're going to go work with other people. They're going to look for properties that maybe aren't right for them. So you are saving them money in the long run, right? And the third thing, and I think the most impactful thing to think about, is you are saving them energy. Okay. What would be the internal or emotional impact if the transaction falls through, or if the transaction does not go through because the agent they're working with is incompetent, or they buy the wrong home for themselves and they have to move, or if they didn't try to create that transformation that they're looking for in their lives? They would leave feeling defeated. And that internal impact, that lifetime internal impact on their emotional state, the false beliefs that they might start walking around with, what they'll develop if they don't have a chance to achieve and transform, okay? Those are all false beliefs, and that takes a lot of energy to be walking around with those false beliefs. The false beliefs that develop as a result of not engaging with you, who is confident and is providing them with lifetime value. So the value of whatever service you're providing has value monetarily and in terms of time and energy. All right, I'm going to share a little example with you. I have a friend who is a coach, and she coaches men who are single, who are in relationships or wanting a relationship. So I want you to go out there and picture a guy who is looking for the love of his life. Okay. And he engages with a coach, and he's considering engaging with a coach. Think of all the money he is going to spend if he doesn't find the woman of his dreams, or if he finds the wrong woman and he has to get divorced, or if he continues to have to search and spend money on dates and travel and all those things, that's all actually costing him money, right? So you are saving, this coach is saving him money by providing him with value and figuring out what he is looking for. If you're a broker, you're providing your client value and helping them narrow down what they are looking for. And that is saving them money, time, and energy, right? Because think about this guy. If he goes out on the wrong dates or marries the wrong person, it's costing him a lot of time, money, and energy. Okay, so for me, what I like to think about in my business is that I am saving my clients the energy it takes to fight the head trash, is what I like to call it, alone, to fight the confusion and indecision and overwhelm of having a business and a life all together. And I'm saving them the energy, saving them energy and having to try to navigate both without feeling guilty or less than or not worth it. Okay, so these examples are very relatable to what you're doing. You are saving your clients so much money, way more than the cost of using your services to buy or sell their next home. So to wrap up, I want you to think about this again. I want you to think about your price, your commission as just a number. It's just a number. Okay. And in reality, it's the compilation of your three beliefs: your belief about yourself and your maturity, the belief about the emotional and financial maturity of your clients, the belief you have about the value of your offer. Okay. And any drama that you have is really just about you having conflicting thoughts or cognitive dissonance, or you getting in your client's wallet and not allowing them the opportunity to transform. So your commission or your price is based on the thought that I am now going to be undercharging, but over delivering, because I am going to give them, through the service I provide, huge lifetime value. I am opening up a huge door of transformation. And if I make that door smaller, then I'm actually not holding space for them. I'm not holding the belief that they can transform. I'm not confident that they can create whatever they're coming here to create or buy whatever they want to buy. I'm doing them a huge disservice. And I also recognize that I am saving them so much time, money, and energy in the long run. So I hope this was helpful. I just want you to point out to you that you can kind of re-listen to all of this. Alexandra's going to put it on YouTube, but I also have a podcast, and I believe it's podcast episode 30 that talks just about this. So you can go over to my website, /podcast, and find that podcast. You also, if you haven't already done that, you can download the handout that goes with this so that you can start to think about some of these things yourself. And again, I always want to offer myself up for a consult, okay, to see if I can help you, right? So listen, if you've considered, okay, getting yourself to this place where you feel confident in your worth, then it's probably worth you hopping on the phone with me. There's value in just the consult alone, and you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't try to find some guidance with that. A lot of times we get stuck, what I like to say, you're in the peanut butter jar and it's sticky in there and you can't read your own label. You can't see what you're worth, and you need someone else, you need a guide to help you read that label. Okay. I'm going to leave you with this thought, and then we're going to open it up, I think, for questions. But if you have kids, Okay. If you've got kids, all right, think about how you talk to them. What do you believe about them? Okay. Do you believe that they are smart and mature and capable? Okay. And it's kind of fun to think about what we tell our kids. I'm going to guess you go tell your kids that they can go believe in yourself. You can do this. Would you ever tell them that they're not worth it? That they're not providing value? You would never say that to them. I would bet. You would never say that they're not worth it. So why do we sometimes say that to ourselves? I'm not sure that I'm worth it. How much are you really worth? What you're worth is your lifetime value that you're providing. And yes, okay, it is always, even if you've been doing this for 100 years, it is always an undercharge and an over deliver, because you're helping people transform. You're helping people transform. So if you're considering getting this kind of help, getting this kind of decision making, or having this kind of thinking, I really would encourage you to reach out. I work with people in several different ways, and we can decide what's the most impactful. How can I provide you the opportunity to walk through the door of transformation, transforming your mindset and your strategies so that you then can in turn provide the best value for your client. Having someone provide you with a big transformation is always helpful. And then you kind of passing that on and helping someone else provide that transformation. So, Alexandra, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Wow, that was wonderful. Thank you so much, Andrea. What great ideas. I think a lot of it too has to do with confidence. A big thing. And like you were just saying at the end with your children, you have the confidence in them. But sometimes it's harder for ourselves.
It is. And why do you think that is? It all stems from our thoughts.
Yes.
Confidence is really a feeling.
Yes.
So that's all coming from what we're thinking or believing about ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I love the meditation in the morning, kind of get your mindset great. And, but this was interesting. So Natasha was saying, Cozart, she said, it's an undercharge, especially as you grow in knowledge and experience throughout your lifetime. Because I think a lot of times, I've been doing this for so long, and then you're like, oh my God, am I charging too much? Should I be doing this? Yeah. So you get those thoughts. And then Jill says, believing in your client's maturity to see your value is such a mindset shift. It makes it easier to move on if they don't choose to work with me. Great.
Yeah. So true. Right. Because sometimes we think it is about us, right? You're making that about you. And really it's more about them than anything else.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wrote down. That was like one of the key. It's not about me. It's about them. Help them transform.
Yes.
And I think, we're not thinking that way. I mean, that's powerful.
It's really powerful. It's really powerful. And I think we're not allowing them the opportunity to transform if we kind of undercut ourselves or kind of make excuses or start to feel a certain way. It's not helpful. It's not helpful. We're not showing up for them as our best selves.
I'm so glad you mentioned your podcast called, and I love the title. I don't think you mentioned it. It's called Level Up. And it's great. You have so many wonderful episodes. So tell us a little bit more on how often you do it and what are some of the other topics that might be interesting for us.
So the way I like to think about Time to Level Up podcast, that's my podcast that comes out every Tuesday, is that it's really kind of a vessel or a container that you can draw upon each week to fill up your brain with the fuel you need to up your game or level up. It's kind of like a weekly trip to the gas station. So, many of us have gym memberships or a punch card for 10 Pure Barre classes, right? To help us improve our physical well-being. And I believe it's really equally as important, maybe even more important, to have a membership for your mental well-being, right? So some people choose to have a paid membership when they invest in coaching per se, and some people choose to go for the free membership. And this podcast is really a way that you can be a member and get and fuel your brain without having to leave, to do anywhere or spend any of your, the only resource you're going to have to spend is time just listening. So in the podcast, I do a combo of solo episodes where it's me sharing a concept. I do client stories because people sharing stories and their journey from where they were to where they are now, always helpful because we can see ourselves in them. And then I do have some guest experts, much like we're doing today, who are subject matter experts on whatever it is. And regardless of the format though, I always touch on what I like to say are the 4 main principles of coaching. So how to get clear on what you want or what you really need. Okay. Because we all can tell ourselves, we think we know that, but do we really? How to have the self-confidence, you mentioned confidence, have self-confidence to do what you need to do, maybe have that hard conversation or do something out of your comfort zone. 3 is I always like to say how you manage your time is a reflection of how you manage your mind. So we talk a lot about that. Okay. How you manage your time is a reflection of how you manage your mind. And then lastly, the 4th one is how do you turn obstacles, perceived or real, into opportunities. So those are the 4 things that I talk about when I'm with clients. And those are all kind of 4 great topics and everything on that Time to Level Up podcast hits upon. So I do have a podcast roadmap, which is helpful because sometimes people are like, where do I start? So you can go over to my website, podcast, and if you add a little dash roadmap, you will find the podcast roadmap there.
I love it. Okay. I'll be joining every Tuesday.
Okay.
Great. You just mentioned something about like being clear. So when I was doing my research about this, you were quoted saying your vision helps you focus. It sharpens your execution. So tell us all, how do we create that clear vision? Because I think where do we start? I think
Where do we start? So episode 38, I think, talks about this. So you can go listen to that. But I want you to really put on your Oprah hat. Okay. So think about Oprah. Okay. She is big, right? She's bigger than life in a way. And she is not afraid to ask questions. And she's not afraid to ask for help either. And that's because she really has a clear vision of who she is, who she wants to be, and her kind of role in the world. If she didn't feel like she was adding value or had a vision of being someone that adds value, she wouldn't be asking the questions she asks. So I think, how do you do this? In a nutshell, you need to stop forgetting about how to make things happen. Okay, that's not really helpful. Instead, you just need to dream bigger. And sometimes I call this super thinking. Okay. And it's easier said than done, but I just put your inner Oprah on. That's number 1. I would say number 2 is access your future self. So go to the Alex of 5 years from now and ask the Alex of 5 years from now. First of all, observe where they are and what they're doing and how they feel. Okay. Kind of use your 5 senses. Go to that Alex and then ask that Alex of 5 years from now what the Alex of today should be doing. Okay, that's super helpful. So access the future Alex. 3 is really just kind of be observant of what's happening in the present and how does it make you feel. Feelings is really important in this vision. And then I think the 4th piece is letting everything sort of simmer. We don't always have to be in this hustle mode. Okay, because we can kind of hustle ourselves to death. So just let things simmer. When you, in the process of creating your vision, it's almost like you're letting it marinate. Okay. So yesterday I spent the day with a client and we did what I call one of my deep dives. Okay. So we spent the day and we really were creating her vision for the next year. And after at the end of the day, we wrapped it up and I said, listen, I want you to go marinate on all of this for a few weeks. And then we'll come back together and we'll kind of we'll evaluate what feels right, what doesn't feel right. Have you started to put anything into play? And instead of kind of throwing the vision out the window for things that aren't working, can we tweak it? Can we hone it? Because we kind of get ourselves into like low value cycles where we start to say, that's not working, that's not working, that's not working, instead of just reevaluating and maybe coming back at it from a different angle. So those are really the 4 things that I like to say help you in getting that clear vision.
Yeah. I love the inner Oprah because I love her.
Yes.
Anyone who
Inner
listens
Oprah,
to
right.
AcquaTalks knows I love Oprah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that was good. That resonated with me. You were saying earlier about get rid of that head trash.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you keep your mindset of being positive in these difficult times, or if you're having a difficult situation at work? It really is. It's that head trash.
It is that head trash. It is that trash. So I think, first of all, there's no such thing as positive Polly. Okay. It's not all about being positive. In fact, if you look up in neuroscience, we have 60,000 thoughts a day, and pretty much half of them are positive and half of them are negative. So there's no such thing as like, I'm just going to be a more positive person. Okay. So that's number 1. All right.
Interesting, because I think we all want that. Or how
we
about
all
you
want
see
that.
That person at work that's always so positive. You're like, wait, how?
How? But then they go home and they're probably negative, right? Because it's okay. So the number 1 tool I teach my clients, okay, is something I call the model. And the model is a framework in which to think about things. And it's really a way in which you can solve any problem or figure out why you're feeling the way you're feeling and if you want to change it. Okay. So I think learning the model is kind of worth the price of admission for any coaching session, because it helps you decide what are the things that I'm thinking that are useful and that are serving me, and what are the things I'm thinking that are not so useful and that aren't serving me. Because whatever we're thinking is triggering how we feel. So when we talk about staying positive, okay, what's happening is like that head trash, those are thoughts in your brain that aren't useful. They're trashy. We need to like take them out. Okay. And we get to choose which pieces of what we want to keep. Okay. What do we want to keep in there? What do we want to keep in the kitchen? And what do we want to get rid of? And recognizing that thoughts are optional, okay, is really powerful. One of my best analogies is pretend you're at a wedding. Okay, you're at Aqualina, because there's lots of events that go on there. And there's a waiter walking around with a silver tray, and he comes up to you and he says, Alex, take one. And on the tray are all sorts of hors d'oeuvres. And you look down and you're like, oh, should I have the bruschetta? Should I have the spinach square? Should I have the shrimp? You get to choose. That tray is like a tray of thoughts. You get to choose whatever thought you want from that tray. So in real estate, I will tell you, since I've worked with a lot of brokers, it is hard sometimes to choose thoughts that don't take you down a spiral. I mean, it's hard for anyone, right? But for example, like in real estate, people always say, my schedule isn't my own. I have to be ready at the drop of a hat. Okay. That's actually a thought. So do you like that thought, that you're tied to your job? I don't think so. Okay. So that's not a useful thought. Let's change it. We got options.
Yeah. Love that. Yes. Very good. So you and I were talking earlier offline about social media and how it's so important. You know, it's a way for us to engage and connect, with our target audiences. So how are you using social media to your advantage? And do you have any preferred platforms or any suggestions and tips for us?
So I'm on all the platforms with my name. I think how I like to think about social media, or how I don't know if I want to say take advantage of it, but how I like to use it is I feel like either I'm giving something, okay, or I'm sort of taking something. So I'm going in to either engage and to give value or to learn something. So if I just go in and I keep scrolling around, okay, which we're all guilty of, right? Is that really helpful? No.
Mhm.
But if I'm going in and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea I never thought of. Okay. And I take that away, that was using it to my advantage. Or if I see something that I can help with and I comment on it or give my opinion, that was helpful too. So preferred platforms, I think it's really hard to do that on Instagram. It's not as easy to have a conversation or dialogue on Instagram. I think Instagram gives us a lot of visual images that are helpful. It's hard to have dialogue. I think dialogue's really important. And on LinkedIn, you can use that as a platform for easy dialogue. And even on Facebook, sometimes it's easy dialogue. So I have a business page on Facebook. I have actually a group page that you can access from the business page. There's some dialogue in there. Twitter, a little harder. I'm not a good tweeter. I'll be honest. I'm trying. But here's something you haven't probably thought about. I'm going to throw this out there. Pinterest. Okay.
Yes.
So it's usually not thought about in a business context, but I will tell you that once I started putting things on Pinterest, a lot of free downloads, I have to this is kind of a free download. Okay. Once I started putting those out there, I got a lot of traction. People are going on Pinterest to share things that are helpful to others. It is not just about how to have an amazing 5-year-old birthday party or find the latest chicken crock pot recipe. Okay. There's which is what my vision,
but
that was my vision of Pinterest for a while. Okay. There's actually a lot of really good things on Pinterest. And like there's access to podcasts that you may have never heard of, and you're going to find by putting in keywords. So it's not all about.
Yeah, I think that's a good tip. We were talking about Pinterest in the office.
Yeah.
That it's more than exactly what you're saying, getting, these creative ideas. Yeah, I'll have to start using that again. But I like what you said about social media. I think everyone did that. Yeah, make it useful, go on, get value from it. Because we do all feel like, oh my God, I should be with my kids, or I should be doing something else, or reading something. I'm just scrolling. But make sure you get
what's one thing I can take out of social media today?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's why I like LinkedIn. I find like I get, great articles and quotes and I get inspired. So tell us, I always like this question, something we would be surprised to know about you.
Okay. So so Alex shared some of these questions with me before, so I had time to think about this one. I'll be honest. It's like, okay. So like something interesting about me is that, well, you mentioned a little bit in your intro that I grew up outside of Boston, go Red Sox. And then my husband and I lived in Houston near the medical center while he was doing his residency, and I got my master's there. And then we moved to Indianapolis. So we've been living in Indianapolis for about 20 years. So I really have friends all over the country from all of these different parts of my life. And I really, really value friendships. And I've actually put in some concerted effort into fostering these friendships. And I find that my clients, a lot of times when we're talking about business goals, all of a sudden this kind of friendship kind of connection thing comes up, and people say, yeah, I really should spend more time with them, or I really need to reach out, or I don't know what my problem is, but I've just gotten so caught up in life. Right. So, a good friend of mine that does not live here with me, we just started actually another kind of business called Your Spark, URSPARK, Your Spark. And it's where we are putting together, we're calling them friendship fueled getaways. It's kind of like a retreat, but you go with a friend to help foster that friendship and to make new friends. And so it's really kind of like a consciously creating connection kind of experience. And she's an artist and I'm a coach. So we're combining really coaching and creative exploration in this way. So our first Your Spark experience is at the beginning of November. So go over to URSPARK.com to find out more, or follow us on Instagram. We are on Instagram. This is a good Instagram thing.
Oh, I love that. I think that's great. And I love how you make things actionable. Like, I have a lot of ideas with friends too. We just haven't Done it. But I love that gathering. You'll have to have it at Aqualina sometime. We're great.
We will have to have it at Aqualina. That would be super fun.
And all that it would be. Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I'm sure our audience wants to know, what are you watching? What are you reading, listening to? So tell us, like, maybe a favorite book, a podcast. Yeah. I know yours, but even like a TED Talk recommendation.
Okay. I don't even listen to my own podcast. That's a secret. I don't like listening. Okay. So I will say a book that I've been kind of glued to recently is this book called The Big Leap, L-E-A-P, by Gay Henricks. Okay. And it's kind of one of those, it's nonfiction, but it's one of those books that you pick up and you can't I have a hard time putting it down. So I keep listening to it in the car and reading it. And I feel like the author is really directly speaking to me and a lot of my clients, because the book is really about understanding your limits. Okay. So like the topic we were talking about today, we start to limit ourselves, like, well, I'm not worth that. Okay. So understanding your limits, discovering where they're coming from, where they're derived from, learning how to push yourself through that self-imposed upper limit so that you really can realize your full potential. So that's a really, really good book that I think people should take a peek at. If you are a business owner, even if you're kind of an entrepreneur or you're an agent as part of a big brokerage house, you're kind of your own business in and of yourself. Another great book is Traction by Gino Wickman. And that helps you create what he calls an entrepreneurial operating system, where you can really figure out how to better run your business. So a lot of times our businesses kind of get out of control in a sense, like we're growing, and I don't know how to handle it. So that book I actually use as a guide when I'm working with my clients in a kind of a coaching program that I call Runway to Freedom, because they feel like they're so trapped in their own business and they need more freedom, like they can't step away. So how do we step away? And that's another great source.
Thank you. Okay, great. Traction and Big Leap. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So I always like to conclude with a question on work-life balance, because it's difficult. I mentioned in the beginning, you have dogs and you have children. They're grown up now. But even, with your parents and, extended family, and how do you balance that, your work and, your personal? What are some of your tips?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, right? Like that's the $1 million question. So I really think when I'm best at balancing, okay, because I'm human, I'm not always great, but when I'm best at balancing, I'm very deliberate and intentional with my time. So that's a fraction of how I'm managing my mind. And I actually do schedule in the fun time. Okay. So I think that is key. That's key to scheduling in the fun time and intentionally also leaving free time. Okay. As part of the schedule. Like, I think when we pack ourselves from morning till night and we don't leave what I call like the emergency fund, which is kind of like your emergency fund of time. Okay. But at the end of the day, or whenever that is, we definitely feel unbalanced because things come up, right? Like things come up that you have to attend to. So scheduling in the fun time, figuring out what is actually fun for you. And as your kids grow too, if you're spending time with family or your parents are older, I mean, what was fun 5 years ago maybe isn't fun anymore. So what is fun? Kind of assessing that. We change, and everything doesn't have to be fun too. That's another thing. So scheduling in that fun time, putting that emergency fund of free time in each day. And then I think the last thing is not trying to do two things at once. Okay. So not trying to do two things at once. It really actually makes me and probably most people less productive, if we want to use that word. Okay. It's not necessarily, although my brain can handle it, maybe isn't the best option because we are not necessarily directing all of our actions towards any one thing to create any one result. So if the result is connection, for example, say with your kids or your friends, then what are you doing to create that connection? I mean, yes, I can empty the dishwasher and talk on the phone at the same time to connect. Okay. But even then, I mean, I think raise your hand if you're admitting to this. You do sometimes then get distracted, right?
Yes.
Right. So,
I know. And then the person knows it on the other end. Or, yeah, I know. It's a multitasking. I remember that was a good thing, 10, 15 years ago. And now it's like, don't do it. Yeah, because you have to focus and on what you're doing. Exactly what you said, you're more productive.
Correct.
Yeah, for your energy. Well, Andrea, thank you so much. That was so wonderful. Is there any closing statement, anything you want to say? I love how you started in the beginning defining what's worth and worthy.
Yeah.
Because I think, we're all thinking about worthy or worthy, but I love how you did that. So anything closing, but I did have Natasha wrote again, emergency fund of free time, agreed, which is a wonderful insight. Thank you for sharing. Everyone's saying thank you. But any closing remarks?
I think to remember, I'm gonna go back here, that these three beliefs are really what you need to have to create a confidence around your own worth and to see that you are providing this lifetime transformation and really honestly lifetime value and transformation in whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter what business you're in, you are providing value, and it's not just for right now in the moment, it's for the long run. So this is hard work. I guess I will also add this is hard work. Like, it all sounds great. You're like, yes. Okay. It's not rocket science, but it truly is work that you need to do on yourself in order to grow your business or grow professionally. Okay. So I know most of the people on here are trying to grow professionally or grow a business. This is part of the work. It's not just about the numbers. It's not just about the data. And when I work with clients, I really try to say this is half mindset and half strategy. So you can't just have all the strategy without the mindset. You can't have the mindset without the strategy. And our lives and our personal lives and our professional lives, it's like all intertwined too. It's a big ball of yarn. So it's okay to not go it alone. Okay. It's okay to ask for help from all sorts of people. Like, who's on your board of directors? That's one of my best thoughts. Who's on your board of directors? Like, you've got someone advising you legally, advising you financially. Who's on your board of directors for your brain? Like, who's representing that category? Okay. So, right. Who's that person? So feel free to reach out. I always say, it's just having a consult call, a free one is worth the value, the price of admission, right? So I promise that you would get value in even just having a conversation with any coach, not just myself. So
that was one I screenshotted all your things. I have them on my phone to look back to. But thank you so much, and thank you to everyone for joining us for AcquaTalks. We will see you next month. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay connected. See you next month.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks.